So, good evening, everyone. Om Shanti. Good evening, everyone online. Welcome. You're in the room. We're all together. And this is a beautiful opportunity. Now we're moving into the holiday season to have a conversation with Sister Jayanti with us all this evening. So we're going to start with what the evening is in terms of the context of Christmas. Well, first of all, we have a fabulous theme for Jayanti Ben to explore this evening, which the team have come up with, which is the subtle art of divine gifting and receiving. The subtle art of divine gifting and receiving. So it's a time of physical gifts within the Christian world, but also I think culturally through this season it is. But we know in terms of the confluence, the memorials, etc. But just Christmas Eve, which it now is, definitely, I don't know whether you noticed today, but even London's sort of gone quiet. Throughout the course of the day, everything got quieter and quieter. Less traffic, less buses, less people, everything. But Christmas Eve across Europe, across many different Christian traditions here too, is the sacred time of that whole festival, that whole Bhakti festival. And it's also the time when many go and pray and sing carols at midnight. That's a sacred time for it. And there are two themes that often occur in that. And the main theme is praying to God, and the other is the remembering of all the angels. So we know that every moment in the confluence is significant, and that there is a lot of significance in all of that. So, Jayanti Ben, tonight's theme is the subtle art of divine gifting and receiving. What does that theme mean to you?
Om Shanti. Every festival occasion, whether it's Diwali or whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah, it's very definitely seen as a time of giving, not just as a time of receiving, but very much that it's in the spirit of giving that we feel the benefit of that sanctity of that festival. And so at this time, just reflecting on the things that Baba has highlighted for us, and Baba's been talking about being able to share the gifts of Baba's knowledge, but also the gift of all the different powers that Baba has given us. And it's come up a few times recently that if you feel that here's somebody who, for whatever reason, doesn't have that inner power, can you be an instrument for Baba to give them that power so that then they're able to move forward with that strength, which maybe otherwise on their own they wouldn't. And so being able to be an instrument to gift power, and of course Baba's described all the different powers that you can inspire souls with and so on. And again, the other thing that's come up a few times recently is being able to share the virtues with souls. And so I know that it was a very special gift that Baba gave Dadi Janki one year. I remember the year and the date for various reasons. But this was the first year that Baba had become Avyakt, and it was the month of May, and it was the opening of the museum that's there in Abu, and the museum still stands and has changed very little actually through the years. It's basically got the same images and the gyan. But it was at that time that Baba said to Dadi Janki that you have a very special talent and you're able to share the gift of virtues with others. And this is your speciality. And of course, everybody had gone to Dadi saying, Dadi, how did you do this? But she had at that time said that, well, the virtues come from Baba, and all you can do is to demonstrate those and support others in developing those virtues also. So she described that as being the ability to gift others with those virtues. And so the treasures of knowledge, the treasures of powers, the treasures of the virtues. Now that covers a big spectrum of what you can give, but also, can I be open to being able to receive that? Because just in the consciousness that I have to give is beautiful, but there are moments when I need cooperation, I need support, I need others around me. And so can I also have the humility at that moment to be able to receive, not just to say I'm going to be giving, but I also have a need. And so let me be open to being able to receive. So yes, Christmas Eve is a special time, quiet and sacred and calm, and many, many people I know, not just from a Christian background, but from other backgrounds also. If you live in a place where generally the atmosphere is of particular quality, then you get influenced by that quality. So I know that many people, whether from a Hindu background or whatever, they also appreciate that quiet time, which is a sacred time, the memorial of the Christ soul taking birth.
Bringing light. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And following from that, because you mentioned at the end the gifting but also the receiving, do you find one easier than the other? Or because for me, certainly receiving is trickier in a way. Do you find that? Or
I find it's easier to give.
Yeah, me too.
Because the receiving for me is usually from Baba.
Yeah.
But then there are times when on the external level, it's not just incorporeal God who can help you, but it's very much the family who can help you and support you in something. And so, yes, to be able to learn to be open to receiving is very important.
And is there a particular, could you share a special, unique gift you have received from Baba or from the family that you haven't shared with us before? This is coming from the class.
I may have shared this, but I don't think I ever heard Baba say this to anybody else. And it was, I have to tell you the context. For years I'd been saying to the daddies that I don't want to stay in London, I don't want to stay in London. It was my mantra. And neither did Dadi Janki listen, nor did Dadi Prakash Mani listen to that. But one particular year, Dadi Prakash Mani had heard this too much. And so she then arranged for me to be with Baba completely alone. And that was then, of course, the turning point. And Baba's question to me was, who knows better, you or me? And so that's when I surrendered. But that was 85. And 86, you don't know which comes first, the seed or the tree, and how drama works. But I was ready to be stable and be put in London. But also, it was the time of the International Year of Peace. And in January, before the end of the year, actually, but certainly January 86, Maureen and myself and Mike and Nikki were in intense meetings about how we were going to honor this. And there was communication with Charlie, with New York, with across the world. And we got this title suddenly, Million Minutes of Peace. Now, what does it mean? How does it work? What do you do with it? No idea. And so a lot of discussions again, and it gradually became clearer. It wasn't a sort of, striking of the, the lightning moment, but as we discussed, that really was cooperation of the family. And the whole idea became clear. And that year, in February, we presented it to the family. And it was about just a small group of us, about 25 of us. And that was our international teachers' meeting at that time. And immediately, there was such a tremendous response. We were just sharing what we were going to do, or what we thought we were going to do. But it just caught fire. And instantly, it became an international project. And following on from that, then Baba said, you didn't choose the role that you're playing. Baba put you there. And so when you remember that this is the seat that Madhuban has given you, then at that time you will be blessed with what has been remembered in Bhakti, that when King Vikramaditya sat on the throne, he was blessed with wisdom and his decisions were the right ones. And so when you sit in that seat with the awareness that this is a gift from Madhuban, then you will be blessed with that wisdom and know that it's Baba giving you that touching to make that decision. As I say, I've never ever heard Baba repeat that to anyone ever. And so it was something that it was a year of huge turmoil, huge service, amazing things happened. But at every step along the way, there were decisions. And yes, we were very lucky that Daddy was stable in the UK at that time. And so we'd run to Daddy with all our questions. But there'd be moments when you had to make a decision there and then. And Daddy wasn't there to give you an instant answer. And it was like Baba had told me this. And so that gave me the stability and the power to do what was needed at that time. And every decision was challenged because Australia would say one thing, New York would say another thing.
Maureen's laughing in the front row.
It was fun. It was great fun. We look back today on those days and it was just incredible. But Baba had a plan and Baba navigated us through that plan so that Baba received 7 peace medals, Peace Messenger Awards, and plus on top of that, then we became the first NGO to get the Peace Initiative going. And that was Global Cooperation then, which again was blessed with Baba's blessings. And you could call it beginner's luck in a sense, because international service in a big way really started through all that. But it was Baba doing everything, Karan Karavan Har, because we had no idea of what to do.
So he got his instrument steady with the gift.
That's right.
Before it all developed and shaped. And
because if I didn't have that stability, yes, this is where Baba has put me, this is where I stay, then it would have been very easy to run off and say, let me just go hide in Madhuban.
And can I ask you on the back of that actually, and obviously then through that whole passage, but has that thought ever reoccurred? Has it ever popped up again? Because personally, I've definitely struggled, and to a certain extent still do, of just being here in London. And there have been passages where it's like, it's gone, the thought's gone, and it's not there. And then there'll be other passages where it pops up in the mind, just thinking, actually, hang on a minute, what am I doing here?
After 85, that thought never came back, that I have to leave. The huge amount of travel just expanded.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's happened that's very interesting, and you just have to laugh at drama, because the times when I was saying, I want to be in Abu, I want to be in Abu, I don't want to be here, Brahma was telling me, stay here. Now Abu is saying, come to Abu, come to Abu. And I'm saying, but there are things I need to settle here. And I'm aware that there's a huge need in Abu, but I'm also aware that there's a few knots to untie and a few ribbons to tie. And so all that has to happen. And then, yes, I can say yes to drama.
Yes,
it'll
beautiful.
happen.
And it does, you're able to stretch right the way across the world. Thank you, Jayanti Ben, because I think for many of us also, just holding that sense of staying steady on drama, steady on where we are at any given moment is completely accurate. So thank you, and it's a great gift to just accept that, isn't it? Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm going to come back to the subtle art of divine gifting and receiving, which you've explained beautifully, but also this role that Baba is helping each one of us here and listening, and Baba's children across the planet to step into, which is the angelic form, and what is Baba calling us all to do at this moment in terms of supporting him subtly, supporting his energy, reaching souls of the world who are in deep sorrow and suffering, so they can grasp something, whether it's a feeling, something from him, but with our maybe collective sort of angelic presence? Or how do you see that mechanism working at the moment?
I feel that Baba speaks to us through the Murlis. And so it's not just past Murlis, but the Murli that you read today is relevant for whatever it is that's happening now. And I felt that the Murli on Sunday was again a very powerful call, and it spoke about determination and unity. And so that whole process of being able to unify our thoughts, our vision, our activity, I think that as people see the authenticity of our unity together, because generally speaking, anybody coming to Baba's house will say, beautiful atmosphere, and like Saturday, within a week, everybody just gave a finger of cooperation, and something very beautiful happened. Very simple, totally simple, but yet very powerful. And it had an impact worldwide, which was incredible. But also I think that it was like everybody set aside their personal thoughts and feelings and just came together. So when it's a special occasion like that, or anything, whether it's Diwali or Christmas or anything, coming together is easy. But to be able to continually have that stage where we're moving aligned together, and there isn't a discrepancy between our thinking and our being and our doing, but each one personally aligned and therefore also collectively aligned. I shared in the Sunday morning class in quite a lot of detail how the ache, firstly the love for solitude, then the introversion, and then the focus and concentration, and then the unity. And so the personal efforts that lead to that stage in which it's very easy to come together in unity. I think that really spoke to me a lot about what we need to be doing here and now. And so the inner effort of each one means that then we are able to, in a very genuine way, at all times, not just when there's a special occasion, but truly we are moving forward together as a whole. And I think that will really speed up the quality and the level of service that we can offer to the world.
Yeah.
And yes, I think that at this time, when we see in a very practical way the breakdown of all the structures, this is what we can offer, our unity. And that will then give people hope for the future.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm just going to go to just something that it's sort of connected in with this, but I noticed it. I was in downtown London at the weekend, and I noticed two huge billboards, both on iconic buildings, but quite surprising in the sort of pomp and glamour of the way cities are today, with all the glass and high rise and all the LED lighting everywhere and everything that's happening out there. And but one was "We all belong" in massive, great big hoarding. All it said was "We all belong." And another one, it was actually from the boat because I was on the Thames. The other one was just a huge hoarding saying "Hope." And it was just phenomenal, just in the middle of all of that. But we know we've got the insight, and Baba gives us the insight every day, that, this is all the pomp of Maya and the sorrow and the suffering. But if you're people just, there were thousands of tourists out there, but you're about and you're taken in with all of this glamour, and then suddenly you see these two great big hoardings, and because we know in the hearts of humanity there's so much suffering and pain and sorrow. So it just made me think, and I'd love your take on it, about the sort of where we're at in terms of on the runway to go home, in terms of the sort of collective, again, humanity, all souls, the sort of preparation to go home, sort of seeing different things coming up and where it's at and how it's all happening.
For the last several years, whenever we've talked about what it is that we have to offer in terms of climate change, because before the event we have discussions, after the event we again debrief and so on, and the word hope kept coming up, and we realized that it's the one thing that the faith-based organizations can offer, that all the other activists and political maneuvering that's going on can't offer. And this is because every spiritual religious tradition talks about eternity, talks about the spirit being eternal, and so every tradition offers hope. And for Baba's children, it's very much a reality. We know for sure that Kali Yuga is ending and Satyuga is coming. I think it was in today's Murli that Baba used this expression categorically, that Ravan's kingdom has to come to an end. And I asked the Hindi class, who really truly believes in their heart that Ravan's kingdom is coming to an end? And yes, most of the class were responding with their faces, some with their hands. But to have that absolute guarantee that yes, the end of the night is happening and we're beginning to see rays of light and the day is about to begin. And so that is the hope that Baba has given us the guarantee for. And sometimes I tell people it's not even just a hope, it's a knowing, it's a reality that after the night, the day has to come. And so, but yes, it's great that more and more people are using this word hope when on an external level, everything feels hopeless. You know, climate change scientists aren't making announcements about this because they're scared that people are going to create riots if they really knew what should have happened, and governments knew, the oil industry knew, and yet the truth was put under cover for decades. Like with cigarettes and you know, smoke and cancer, they knew, but it was kept under cover. And so same thing has happened with climate change and the oil industry. And so on the one side, when you really start looking at what's going on, we're at the point of collapse. And so on the other side, here's God offering us hope, and Baba, on a personal level, giving us power to be able to share that hope and vision with others, that there is a better world ahead. So yes, I think that people are wanting something that can give them hope for the future. And the other one, there's a deep desire within humanity of wanting to belong. And where there hasn't been this sense of belonging and separation, in a very simplistic way, you'd say body consciousness, where body consciousness is truly divided. Even a nuclear family, it's so divided within each other. So you can't even say that because it's a big family, it's a big population, so this is why we don't have that sense of belonging. But little or big isn't a factor. There just is the separation that people feel. But yet there's something within the soul that is saying that we are one family, that we do belong together. And so it's Baba touching souls. And Baba has told us in the Sakar Murlis that as time comes closer to that moment of transformation, more and more people will be aware that this is that time of change, of transformation. And I see that.
And just, I'm going to ask you for one insight about when you are at a big conference for the climate change or in the religious context, and you're talking about hope. In your mind, are you picturing all souls in the home, or is it not just that? Is it the replenishment of the planet and the continuation? What is it that you feel you're giving hope about? Yes, we understand with Gyan.
I'm not thinking at that moment about the replenishing of the physical world. Because, once you start on that subject, there's a lot of questions that arise. And you don't want to take people there and just get lost in a jungle of questions. And so we're really talking about the replenishing of the human spirit. And people connect with that. People can understand that today, this time, people were talking about the inner development goals. And not just that, there was one phrase that came up in one particular session, but in another particular session, they were talking about how do you see your world of carbon zero? And what the people, and they had this question in Scandinavia. Both things, in fact, came from Scandinavia. And this one particular question, it had been asked from about 7,000 people. And it was a former deputy prime minister of Sweden who was speaking to this. And she was also not talking about the external things.
Yeah.
She was talking about the inner changes within human beings that will say that, yes, what we have, we want to share. And so it was the first time that these two topics came up within the climate change conference. Every year we see a progression and more things come up that are closer to helping people understand the change that's needed.
And do you think again it's so subtly picking up on Baba's energy, Baba's gifts?
It's Baba touching souls.
It's Baba's touching,
Baba,
so he's really
definitely.
being proactive to
In our development goals now,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have used that language, but it's Lokik people who are using this language, and certainly a few of them have been very close to Baba and meditation, two in particular. But within that group that's developed this whole idea, certainly two people have been connected with Baba for a long time.
Yeah.
And so it's, on the one side, yes, it's Baba touching them and others, but also they've been exposed a lot to Baba's teachings.
Yeah.
And so they're not Brahmins, but they've taken something from Baba and churned it deeply so that it makes sense to them. And now they're sharing it in language that's comfortable for others who can also then relate to those ideas.
Great, thank you. I'm going to move on to another question about a soul sent this in by email, and that is, I'm sure will apply to many, but the time of mountains of sorrow falling seems to have started, and it can be really terrible to witness people, including close ones, suffering to such great extent. What are your suggestions not to feel anxiety, but also without being indifferent nor disconnected? BKs, how we support those souls.
I know that it's very easy just to say, I have to be detached, and then it looks as if you're being heartless and really not very helpful. But it's possible to have that inner awareness in which I see the world truly as Baba wants me to see it, as the drama, and the drama is playing out its own part in its own particular way. And yes, you're seeing the sorrow and suffering, and yes, you're also giving dedicated time to be able to serve souls with Baba's love and Sakash. If it's only that Baba says be detached, that's different. But that's not what Baba's saying. Baba's saying, yes, be detached so that you don't get trapped by the sorrow that they're going through. Because it'd be very easy, my brother's there, my sister's there, how are they managing, and just to get caught up in the personal
Different
things.
situations,
But yes, it may be my brother and sister are there, but yet still, it's not only happening to them, it's happening to my family, my bigger family.
Yeah.
And yet I have to learn to be up above.
Yeah.
And then in that stage of being up above, I'm not rejecting, I'm not saying that, it doesn't really matter, but I'm recognizing and having empathy. But now with Baba's help, I'm able to give Sakash.
Yeah.
There was a time when Baba had said to us, Baba asked us a question a few years ago, and Baba asked, who does Mansa Seva? And some raised their hands, some didn't. And Baba said, Baba is asking you, each one of you must give at least 5 minutes of Mansa Seva for the world. And it was like a very clear, specific direction from Baba. Just as Baba says, do this, do this, do this. So it was in addition to that list. This is what you must do. Have some minutes which is dedicated to actually doing Mansa Seva. And then the other day Baba was talking about where you are instruments who are responsible. And everybody here is an instrument responsible in some way or another for Baba's service. And so Baba was talking about how if you're an instrument responsible for service, then what you have to do is to give special time to be able to serve.
And does it also connect in with this subtle art of divine gifting? I mean, maybe not so much receiving when it is that seva, but as you said, Baba Sakash, sending that to souls. But it is so that they can pick up. It's
definitely the subtle gifting that Baba wants us to do.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that also then protects us from taking in any of the sorrow as well, in that sense. When we're out there serving, supporting souls in really difficult situations.
The inner stage of detachment is the first step.
Yeah.
And then in that stage of detachment, I can be an instrument to serve.
Yeah.
And so both things, but the first step has to be that inner detachment.
Yeah.
And it's firstly the detachment from my skin, my practice.
And that actually leads me right into the next question, which is about the practice of the bodiless stage, and how do you work with it at the moment? What's your practice with it, and what impact does it have in your feelings, in the mind?
I've been privileged to be able to see the 18th January Murli. And there's a very specific passage in that in which Baba's talking about putting on the costume and leaving the costume. And so just as it's very easy for you, when it's cold, you put on your shawl or your jacket, and when you don't need it, you slip it off. And so Baba's saying that, can you practice this stage of being bodiless as quickly as you can put on something and take it off? And so since reading that, we were just going through the translation of that, and so that's why I had a chance to see it. But it stayed very deeply with me. Can I put on this costume, and can I slip off this costume as easily as I can put this on and take it off? And so that was a few days ago that I read that. But it is something that's a very, very simple thing to practice. It's not difficult. It just requires a little bit of attention. And so here I am talking. I'm in the body. I'm using the body. But when we finish this conversation and we have a moment of silence together, as easily just to slip away out of sound into that inner state of silence. And so the stage of being bodiless, to be able to be in and out and in and out. And the more I do this, the more natural it becomes, the easier it becomes, and the easier it is to be up above and detached, so that then the scenes that are going on down here, with all the upheaval of sanskars, it's not just out there, it's here. And so can I be detached from the influence of that on me? I'm seeing it and it's happening, it's real, it's not imagination, but I have to learn to be not influenced by it. And so this practice of adopting the body, shedding the body, in and out and in and out, that can help me be this in that stage that Baba wants me to have, of being stable and unshakable. So it's work in progress. It hasn't happened completely.
All of us.
But getting there.
Yeah. Well, it's really wonderful to get your insights, Jayanti.
And today's Murli also, Baba used a very strong expression that just the last part of the Murli, and this was a Sakar Murli today, but in that last part of the Murli, Baba was saying that practice the Karmatit stage.
Yeah.
And in that stage, it's like the corpse.
Yeah.
The body is still, the body is silent, not coming into any engagement. And the soul is reaching more and more the Karmatit stage.
That's the practice of it. And connected also, I think it was in the blessing this morning, but Baba's saying about, that practice then is what allows the soul to gain victory over Maya's force, because Maya is powerful also at this time, and that internal battle and gaining victory through that practice. I'm going to ask a very personal question, but do you still feel Maya coming towards you? Or does Maya ever erupt in your mind? Or do is it going bodiless and seeing it and keeping it a distance and off you go, Maya, that's it? Or does it ever get its thoughts in the mind? Yeah.
Maya still comes.
It does, okay.
And it's coming through the sanskars of others and my reaction to what they say and do. And so I have to practice more and more the stage in which I'm not affected by their behavior on any level.
Yeah.
And so it's not that I see my anger or greed come up in that way as it would have done before, but now it's coming in a form where I see things happening that shouldn't be happening, and there's a reaction. And so I have to learn to get to that stage where no reaction, and I'm just literally able to be totally stable, keep smiling, and just give them good wishes. And so, yes, it's journey. It still hasn't come.
I think you're being very humble.
No.
But it is useful for all of us to understand how, we deal with that. And Baba keeps on telling us every day how
practicing.
We keep practicing.
And this is why Baba has to keep telling us every day.
Yes. But that strength.
But it's true that on the one side you see the reactions coming, and on the other side you read the Murli, and then it's a powerful reminder. And you say, thank you, Baba.
Absolutely. He's holding us safe. Just one, how are we doing for time? 20 past. Yes, this is a question that's come up, and it's in a way connected. About the law of karma, which can be very subtle. How do we know, when we are settling from past births, or whether the settling is linked to actions or possible negative waste thoughts in this birth, either before or whilst in Gyan? So whether it's amongst the family or the bigger family out there.
It's my sanskars. So that ownership first. And my sanskars are the result of my own karma from the past. And so I'm carrying that with myself. And this is why I'm reacting in the way that I am. But every time I react, I'm adding to my karma. And so, yes, it's something from the past that I carry. But if today I really keep Baba with me, and I don't react, then that's victory. And that's a step towards settling karma. Otherwise, I allow my reaction to happen, then it's taking away time and energy. I have to go back and repair it and sort it out. And it's added further to my burden that I have to settle. And so it's a combination. And so this is why I was saying that whatever it is you're doing today, it can be multiplied 100 plus, but equally it can drain you 100 times. because before you didn't know, now you do know. And so, yes, the conscience bites, and the soul says to Baba, Baba, I need help with this. But if I can take Baba's help and not react, then that's going to be the turning point.
And is it also connected in with that practice of coming back to body listeners?
The practice of
spinning
coming back here again and again is the way to save myself from reactivity.
Yeah.
The more I practice that, the less there's that possibility of reaction.
Yeah.
And so I'm managing to discipline my sanskars, and through then further yoga, change the sanskars also.
Great. And coming back to the subtle art of divine gifting and receiving, in terms of to transform where there is that a weight of karmic connection, is that a solution to settle that as well?
There's been times when Baba and Dadi, I'm remembering both, have said that if there's a mistake I've made, can I do 100 good karma to be able to settle that and finish it? So yes, definitely. The settling of karma by doing a huge amount of good karma is a very powerful way to move forward.
And then finally, I just wanted to take this notion of this art that we're learning with Baba for ourselves as his instruments, etc., and how this then is developing us in terms of the future, in terms of the deity state, the golden era, because presumably we're divinely interacting, and we're in complete soul consciousness and light and interaction that way, but there isn't any notion of gifting or receiving at that point. That's a confluence age, and that's when, because it's got divine, so it's when we're connected with Baba. How do you see that development?
The change from a human being to the deity is this change in which the human is needy. I'm always wanting. And even in my relationship with God, prayer is always a request for something, even if it's not anything external or physical, but God give me strength, God give me power, God give me I'm always asking. So there's a neediness in which the soul never feels complete. And so to move from that human stage in which take, to the stage of being Devta, Dene Vala, the one who's able to give. Now that means I need to be able to access above so that it's coming to me, and I'm able to receive that, and then I'm able to be an instrument to give that. And so everything in India is a Devta. Flowers are Devta, the rivers are Devtas, the sun,
givers.
because they give.
Yeah, they give.
So they're the Devtas, so they give. But the human soul, changing from the taker to the giver, that's the transition of the confluence age. And that's only possible because Baba comes in between. How can an empty human being suddenly become a deity who's able to give?
Sure.
It's because we receive from Baba to an unlimited extent. And it's really the truth. Baba gives us so much, and we don't always count our blessings and appreciate what Baba is giving us. And this applies to every single Brahmin, just to be able to appreciate how much Baba has given me already. Not even what's waiting for me tomorrow, but has already given me. And so that change of consciousness in which now I'm full, and now I can be an instrument to give, is the transformation of Sangam Yuga. And yes, this is the way to be able to emerge the sanskars of Satyug, in which there's ignorance of the word desire. It's a beautiful expression, not even to know what it is to desire, because you're so full, you're so content. Yeah, nobody wants anything from me in Satyug, that's true. But each one is complete in their own stage.
Yeah.
And so there's the interdependence, there's no dependency, but yet we work together in harmony and love. But it's because each one is stable in their own being, in their own dignity. And that has to happen today. And then Satyug can come.
Yeah. Did we all hear that? Everyone's nodding.
Sister Jayanti, you answered my question. I had a question about the fact that we cannot give in this context without receiving something back. But thank you, because you answered my question.
Couldn't hear you at all, Nina. Sorry.
Okay, I can share what Nina was saying. She's saying, gentlemen, you answered her question was that we repeat again.
In this context, we cannot give without receiving.
We can. These times we cannot give without receiving. We're in that. Yes.
The whole idea of Devta.
Yes.
And
the idea of Devta.
transitioning from.
Yeah, and we're transitioning to that state. Yes. Of Devta as the givers. It's 25 past. Is that about it? Planning team. There is one little thing coming up in the mind. Are we closing at 8:30? Is that it? So I think that's probably where we'll stop, which is in the giving, in the divine giving. So can we have a few minutes of yoga together? Maybe till past. Is it Toli and blessings? Yeah, that is. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Lots and lots of insights on this auspicious evening. Thank you.
I want to thank Toots, but I also want to thank Nina and the team that put this whole Christmas program together, because on the one side things look simple, but on the other side it's a lot of thinking that's gone into preparing something that would be of benefit for all. So Nina,
Joy, and Harika.
Nina, Joy, and Harika, and
They're the three chords.
okay, great. So thank you for all the time and energy you put into making all of this happen, all the background work.
I hear you say the world has fallen down, can't be turned around, and there's no use going on. But I know we got lessons to learn, and I know we got a future to earn, even though sometimes it's hard to see. Being just one man in humanity, I know that love will lead us from this world of madness. Love will make us truly free. Though time is racing past, we still got a chance Join the dance and find that inner peace and make it last. Why hold on to sorrow? Don't wait until tomorrow. This cure will get you feeling better fast. Come along. Love will lead us from this world of madness. Love will make us truly free. Love's the music we should play, bringing us closer day by day. Love coming straight from the heart is where we should start. If we could only turn the page and try a new point of view, we'd rise above this war and crazy age. Love will lead us from this world of madness. Love will make us truly free. Love will lead us from this world of madness. Love will make us truly free.